Welcome back to Studio Talk. I'm Barry Johns. You know, there's a couple questions that I get on a regular basis here on the channel, and sometimes they come in on the comment section from particular videos, and others are emails that I get sent directly by viewers. The first question I get asked a lot on is, hey Barry, what's up with that desk? You know, I hadn't quite seen a desk quite like that. Where can I find a desk similar to that? What's the story behind it? And it's going to be not what you think, to be honest with you. And so I'm going to talk about that today. The second question I get asked a lot is, hey, can you do a studio tour? Can you walk us through all the gear inside that desk? And so we're going to do that today. You'll see as we go around this, I've got things that are very budget friendly, that are not super expensive on the wallet. And I've got some things that cost quite a bit more. And I'll talk about those as we go through it. I also have a couple of things in here that are also custom designed for me, not the gear, but how the gear's housed. And probably going to start with that when I talk about that BEAE 500 series rack that's mounted in the top of the desk behind me that you can't see. So let's get out the cell phone. I'm going to use my handy dandy little cell phone to record this because I think that's the easiest way for me to do it. And then we'll come back here and close this out. All right, so what you see here is a Versa mounted ultra wide monitor that when I'm using this keyboard controller, I can kind of drag everything over to there and, kind of be able to work from there fairly easy. I'll just typically move my mouse over a little bit where I can, because it's wireless, so I can do that. And it just makes it easier so I'm not rubbernecking it back and forth. Okay, so let's talk about this desk here. This is actually a Series 90 Argosy desk that was made to custom fit a 24-channel D command. And then traditionally you'd have the rack pieces, actually these over here. You would have these particular rack pieces here that were part of it. And then you had the D command. If you watched my channel from the very beginning, you'll know that I used to have a D command in it and that I'd used for a very long time. But when I moved away from Pro Tools, due to their horrible business practices, I took that out and replaced it with those SSLs, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But if you watch my channel, you know that I've got a woodworking shop here at the house. And what I did is, off of this section over here, I took the side panels off of this. And then from that side panel, I used that as a template. And then I just cut that out and did a router template. So I made these pieces here. You can still see that's basically MDF along through here. I haven't had a chance to go back and put a covering on that, so I'm not really worried about that. So these two center pieces here were never part of the desk. The actual D command set in there. And so I basically converted all of this into racks. So I like I said, I fabricated the side rails on each side, then did some other framing behind it that you don't see to keep it square. And then of course I installed the rack rails on it. And that's how we have all of this right now. All right, so that's kind of what this is. It's a modified. Now a lot of people, since you know I have a woodworking shop, I'm going to be, at some point I'm going to build my own custom desk from scratch, but that's coming. So let's try to start from the top and go down. Over here, let's see if I can get this camera to work for me. Over here, these are Atom 77Hs. Now these are a recent acquisition. Did I even say that right? Anyway, let me just put that in cornbread English. I got these recently, and they're replacing my A77Xs, which is the previous model. So this is the upgraded model, and you'll see a review coming out on that pretty soon. I'm actually using a lavalier mic right now, so a wireless lavalier, so you can see there, that's a head unit for that, and I've got that going over to my patch bay, going to a mic preamp down below. And so you've got that. Down here, you've got a couple of my favorite pedals. The Friedman, one's like a boost channel, and the other's like a model of the Dirty Shirley, one of my favorite amps. Then you've got the preamp for my warm audio tube microphone. Same thing here for the warm audio VMS. Here, I've done a review on this. This is a 7-Circle Audio Neve clone, an absolutely fantastic Neve clone. If you're interested in that, go check out that video. I'll try to put a link to it down below. Actually, any reviews I've done on any of the gear in here, I'll do links down below for it. Here we've got a Tegeler EQP1, which is their version of a stereo Pultec EQ, and this sits on my master bus channel. This thing is absolutely freaking fantastic, and you'll also see me doing a review on this kind of coming up shortly. Back there you can see some backup, old school 7200 backup drives, and of course my my Wi-Fi router and all that stuff back there. Over here I have an Aventone C12, and so that is the mic preamp, or I'm sorry, that's just the power thing for that particular microphone. And then back over there, if you can see it, that is a Bluetooth receiver that I've got wired into my interface. So that's kind of top to bottom. So let's go back over here to the left and let's start with this BAE 500 series rack here. Now, this is something that I had custom made. This part right here, there's a fabricator here where I live in Central Florida that can fabricate anything I can draw on paper. And to give you a rough idea real quick, here's the same BAE rack with their rack ears on it. And so that takes up a lot of real estate. So I was thinking, how do I utilize this space right here? Because it's not 19 inches, so I can't do much in it. At some point, I'll take that one over there, and I'll have another one of these made to mount that into it. All I did was just route out a rectangular hole right here on the desk. And so these are just screwed in. These right here are just screwed right into this laminated MDF here, all right? And so that's kind of how that's done. I plan to put another one right here, that one over there, and free up that space over there when I need that space. And you can see right now, I'm recording through a Great River ME 500 NV, which is their Neve clone. I've had this a very long time. I bought it when it first came out, so I probably had it at least 15 years, maybe a little bit longer. I absolutely love this particular mic preamp. It is definitely at the top of the list of my Neve clones here. All right, so here you have Warm Audio WA12, which is a clone of an API 312 mic pre. And if you didn't know this, the 312 is identical to the 512. They're just made to fit in different housings. It's something that I didn't know before, but I learned that recently over from the guys on Produce Like a Pro when they did an interview with them. And here we've got a Rupert Neve 511 microphone preamp. This is another, obviously, Neve style from Rupert Neve, so I guess it's Neve. A Neve mic preamp that is also very, very good. I love that very much. All right, and so here we've got a Frapp Audio. This is a compressor slash expander. This is their 2806. I recently did a review of this. This is a brand new company, and this is one of their, I don't think they've got many more pieces than this, but this is one of their brand new pieces. And this is a fantastic compressor. It's a little bit different than most compressors that you'll use, which is a good thing, I think, okay? Okay, so over here, we start out with a couple really inexpensive 500 series units, and the first two are made by Lindell. The first one is an 1176 clone, and the second one is a Pultec style EQ. Those, you know, I think when it comes to this stuff, you kind of get what you pay for. I kind of got them dirt cheap, so I figured I'd try it out. And I've left them in the rack. They come in handy from time to time. I wouldn't say they're my go-to for any particular thing first before other pieces, but they do a good job, especially for the price. Same thing here for this DBX 560, which is a DBX 160 style compressor in 500 series format. And this is also another very economical 500 series compressor. And I would say it performs better than its price. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it definitely performs better than its price. All right, so here we've got a Stam Audio SSL type buzz compressor, and this should really be at the top of your list if you're looking to add, you know, a bus compressor, especially an SSL one, to your particular outboard hardware workflow. I absolutely love this particular unit, and I've also got a review out there on that. Next up here, we probably got one of my favorite manufacturers for outboard hardware in the clone market. And this is by Audioscape, and this is their LA3A style clone, and this thing sounds absolutely fantastic. I've also got a review on that out there. Next up here, we've got a Warm Audio WA73 EQ. Now, I've got a video coming out on this pretty soon, so kind of stay tuned for that. This is their Neve style microphone preamp as well as EQ. And so stay tuned and you'll get a chance to hear my opinions on it, and you can check that out. Next up here, this is another one of my favorite pieces, and this is currently my favorite bus compressor for most things. I wouldn't say everything, but for most things. And this is one freaking amazing bang for the buck. And this is the Tegler Audio. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Tegler Audio Cream. I've also got a review of this one out there, and I absolutely love this thing considering its cost. It is off the charts, a bang for the buck. And so what it does is it's a combination of a Pultec style EQ. It doesn't have all of the dials and controls of a Pultec as the Tegler EQP1 does that we looked at a few minutes ago. And then it also has obviously the bus compression and some really unique features to it. I love this one. It's got the ability here. This selector here is very, very powerful, and it decides where it's kind of cut off and not do any compression. So if you want to take 120 hertz and below and say, look, let that kind of go through without compressing that, so I maintain my low end, you could do it at 120 or 60 depending on the music. Here we have a 7-circle audio. This is a particular proprietary rack system. They recently started producing 500 series, which I think they probably should have done from the very beginning. But what we have in here is we have another API style, 512 style microphone preamp. And this is definitely, I would use this before the warm audio every day of the week. And it absolutely is fantastic. Everything this company makes is very, very, very good, and almost a steal for the money. And then over here, you have their DBX style compressor. Now, don't make the mistake of confusing the cheaper, less expensive current DBX type compressors. They are not the same thing as this. This is based on one like from the 70s. I think it came out in the 70s, maybe 60s, but definitely 70s, which was a gold standard for drum compression for just about every major studio on the planet. And this one is modeled after that, and it does an absolutely mind-blowing good job at that. Got a review out there on that, so go check that out. Eventually, I'll get all these filled in, but hey, I'm not a rich guy. Take some time. All right, so here we've got, remember I told you before, I used to have, actually I still, it's setting up in a room upstairs in the house, my 24 channel D command. But I replaced this with the SSL, control surfaces, and I absolutely freaking love these things. They are incredibly powerful, and I currently have, 2 of them here. You'll see this. So I've got 16 channels, and I've got those mounted in there, and I absolutely love it. I strongly, if you're looking for a control surface, buy this, just stop looking and get it over with, because you cannot go wrong with that. All right, so let's go back up to the top of this, and here you're going to see up here where I've got a warm audio WA2A, which is their LA2A style compressor. That thing is absolutely fantastic. I love it. I think it does an amazing job, and I highly recommend it. Next up down below that, we've got the hair. Now this is going to be the next video that I do. I'm doing a video on this particular unit, which is a Heritage Audio HA73 that is very similar, but not the same, because the EQs are different on them than the WA73. And of course, it starts with a Neve style microphone preamp, then goes into a Neve style EQ. And so take a look out for that when it comes out. It'll be out over the next couple of days. But then again, you could be watching this a year from now, so it's already out then by then maybe. Here you have the warm audio. I had this before I bought the Tegler, and so of course I still use it on individual tracks. And this is their version of a Pultec EQ. And I also think they did a fantastic job with this one. I think it sounds absolutely fantastic, and it would be on my recommended list. Down below that, we have a Clark Technique. Yes, now we're back into the affordable range, and this is Clark Technique's 1176 style compressor. It's a solid performer, no doubt about it, but it is not as good a performer as this warm audio, still in the reasonable price market, warm audio 1176 clone. and this thing sounds absolutely fantastic. So this one would be my first 1176, and then followed by this one. But I will tell you, for the price, I don't care what anybody tells you, it does a good job. And so check that out if you're interested. Now we're going to go over here into a cable mess over here. But first we're going to start back here, and this is Clark Technique's version of their LA2A. It is not as good as the Warm Audio LA2A. So let me kind of say that, but it shouldn't be, because it's, if I remember correctly, it's about half the price. Now, I think this thing sounds very, very good, and there's some interesting mods that you can do to it. You should go check that out over at Gearspace, and there's some mods that make it even better. But it is definitely a solid performer for its price. Like I said, it's not my go-to, but it is a good unit for the price. Now, down here below, I've got two Bantam-style patch bays that I have all of my gear wired into. As you can see, this is when you start getting into cable, spaghetti mess here. And I've got a video out there right now explaining patch bays, but I think I'm going to make a volume 2 to that and really get into it, because I think there's so many misunderstandings about how effective patch bays can be if you do them correctly, and how powerful they can be in your studio. Now, underneath that, you're going to see my UFX Plus. This is my RME UFX Plus. I went to this after I left Avid. I had been on HDIOs prior to that, and then I went with the Avid Carbon, which actually honestly is a fantastic I/O box if you're going to work in the Pro Tools environment. That is a solid buy for sure. So the RME has 12 analog inputs on it. You've got the 4 mic pre's on the front, and then the back are 1/4 inch balanced. So it gives you a lot of flexibility for sure. Down below this, we have the Ferrofish Pulse 16. Mine is the MADI version, so this is connected to my RME via MADI, and so versus via ADAT, and it works flawlessly. It adds 16 additional channels of analog I/O to your workflow. It also has 2 pairs of ADAT in and out, so another 16 of ADAT in and out at 44.1/48, and then that gets cut in half when you go to 96 or 192. Down below that, underneath the spaghetti mess, is my Kemper. You can see that down there below. This is kind of a sloppy area on my desk. And then, of course, you can see a power distribution thing here. And you want to really see a mess, I'll show it to you. Bunch of external hard drives, various Thunderbolt, expansions. Actually, I've got both of those with a M1 Pro MacBook Pro. Coming over here, I have a DMX controller that I use in here for all the lighting that's actually rigged up in the ceiling, so I can control all the settings with that. That's really for video, but if you're interested in how I do that, that's how I do it. Here I've got the RME ARC USB, which is if you're going to buy an RME interface, this thing it's very powerful and it's absolutely fantastic, and I love it. Now, you'll see there, those are my regular glasses. They're basically the same prescription. Okay, so this is for those of you out there that need reading glasses or things like that, especially if you have glasses to be able to see, and where you may wear trifocals or something like that. Those are my regular glasses. They're just different shaped frames or whatever. These right here are my studio glasses, right? And so these are the ones I wear when I'm sitting at my desk. And what that gives me, I actually went to, let's get this back up here. As you can see there, I'm using a 43-inch 4K TV as my monitor. That is absolutely great. There's the one of the shotgun microphones that I use for my audio for my YouTube channel. But what these particular glasses do for me is what they're set up to design to be is they're trifocal, but they're trifocal in different ways. The bottom bifocal section lets me sit here and then see all of this perfectly clear. The midsection gets all of this area in perfect focus. And then the distance keeps the screen in focus. So you can really only wear this while you're sitting at the desk. And what I did was I took I took a dowel, a long dowel, and I measured it from my face to the screen, and I cut it to size from my eye to the screen, and then I marked it where it was at different stages. In other words, I marked it down to here and marked it down to here and did that on the dial, and then I marked it down to here and did that on the dial, and then I actually took that to the optometrist, and they used that to create these glasses. And they're not pretty, but they don't need to be, but they make my experience in the studio 1,000 times better. So for you old farts out there like me, hey, if you have any questions about that, reach out to me. Okay, so let's talk about this desk here. This is actually a Series 90 Argosy desk that was made to custom fit a 24-channel D command. And then traditionally you'd have the rack pieces, actually these over here. You would have these particular rack pieces here that were part of it, and then you had the D command. If you watched my channel from the very beginning, you'll know that I used to have a D command in it, and that I'd used for a very long time. But when I moved away from Pro Tools due to their horrible business practices, I took that out and replaced it with those SSLs, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But if you watch my channel, you know that I've got a woodworking shop here at the house. And what I did is, off of this section over here, I took the side panels off of this. And then from that side panel, I used that as a template. And then I just cut that out and did a router template. So I made these pieces here. You can still see that's basically MDF along through here. I haven't had a chance to go back and put a covering on that, so I'm not really worried about that. So these two center pieces here were never part of the desk. The actual D command set in there. And so I basically converted all of this into racks. So I like I said, I fabricated the side rails on each side, then did some other framing behind it that you don't see to keep it square. And then of course I installed the rack rails on it. And that's how we have all of this right now. All right, so that's kind of what this is. It's a modified. Now, a lot of people, since you know I have a woodworking shop, I'm going to be, at some point I'm going to build my own custom desk from scratch, but that's coming. So now you probably realize my voice changed quite a bit there. I had to use my lavalier for that because I'm moving around a lot. And so obviously it's not the same as my voiceover mic that's, kind of right above me, if you know what I mean. So now that we've kind of got that out of the way, that's a studio tour. You get a good chance to understand the gear that I use here. Hopefully you found this somewhat entertaining. And if you have any questions about any piece of gear, let me know. I've got a review and an in-depth discussion on the Heritage Audio HA73 that's going to be coming out right around the corner, talking about that. And there's a couple other pieces in here that I've yet to review yet that I plan on doing that. And so kind of stay tuned for all of that. So hope you liked today's video. If you did, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave me some comments down below. Tell me what you think. And until next time, hope every one of you have a great day and enjoy your studio, wherever that may be, or whatever gear that you have in it. Just enjoy it. Bye-bye. Yeah, that was kind of delayed, wasn't it? I'm supposed to say, like, have a nice day, bye-bye, that kind of thing, but didn't quite roll out like that, did it? Well, I'm not going to re-record it because I said a lot there, and honestly, I'm not so sure I remember what I said because I don't use a teleprompter or anything, so you've probably already gone bye-bye now, and you're wondering, why is this guy just babbling on and on and on? That'd be a good question. I'm not quite so sure myself, and and I'm looking over there, and I have no idea why I'm looking over there. It's just, I don't know. You'll have to analyze me. Have a great day. Bye-bye. For real this time now. Go away. The second up is, hey, can you do a studio tour? Can you do a studio tour? How about a studio turd? I've had plenty of turds in the studio in the past, but never some tours. So maybe we should do a studio tour. Yeah, that's a good idea.